Okay.
Yeah, should be all one.
Okay, I don't think you understand how hard it is to find ghosts from World War II with Call of Duty in existence.
WW2.
Mm.
Brandon.
Because it's gonna think you're talking about, oh, Ghost from Modern Warfare 2. No, I mean
Yeah,
Ghost from World
yeah,
War 2.
yep,
Ghost
exactly.
WW2. That's the name of my thing, and it's a Death Knight picture.
I know, and YouTube's
Okay,
gonna make them
there
go
we
around a
go.
lot of
Wait,
loopholes.
no. Wait, is it this?
It's with a Death
Yeah,
Knight.
literally just a
Yeah.
big fuck off flaming black sword, like dude, like clad in black
There
armor,
it is.
motherfucker.
Jesus Christ.
I know the profile well,
Okay, cool.
'cause I once spent 10 minutes
All
trying to
right,
find him.
so I want you to.
Anyway, so after like Quicksilver had died, Wanda had literally brought him back to life, but just took away his powers. So after that
Why?
happened, Quicksilver base pretty much lost his super speed,
Oh, here we go. Cool.
and he lost his sister and his
Go
reputation,
to.
and he fell into a deep depression. After he falls
Let
into
me
a deep
see the. Hold
depression,
on. Let
Gohan
me
would
let me look
generally
at
just
something
try
real
to do
quick.
his best to patch up his like familiar relationships
Damn,
that
I
he
keep
can.
saving.
This would be a very different Gohan who's just trying to keep variants of a very broken family together. Not to mention, he's also trying to
Okay,
like
I
not talk
really
to
just
people
need
like
to
Magneto.
hang,
He
make
would
it
pretty much hate
easy.
for trying to kill Quicksilver, for killing
Oh, Zerk
Quicksilver.
is good. It's like two-piece Zerk, two-piece something else for beginners.
You wanna know what
Not
movie I wanna watch, but I can't seem to find?
Oh, actually, hey
what
Brandon,
movie?
look for the piece
That
set called
second
Martial
Puss in Boots
Artist.
movie. I want to
Oh yeah,
watch
yeah,
it now because
definitely.
I'm
It's
hearing
good.
nothing but because it's been like
It's
almost
great.
like a month or two by
Damn.
now. Most people
Is
would
that
usually shut the fuck
you?
up by
You
now for
need at
most
least four
movies,
pieces. So,
but they're
do you
still
have?
going. It's
Is it
still going
just in those three?
hard. So I'm like,
Surprisingly well, great movie
I just
with
can't
Oh
great
find
no,
it
you have
anywhere.
more.
I
You
thought it
have
would be on
more.
Disney Plus. You know,
Cool.
considering what it is. No, not there.
Go to
That's
your
Is it on
DreamWorks,
father.
HBO?
not Disney.
Right, but still, I thought maybe. No, not there. Is it on
Okay, go to your
HBO?
father.
No, it's not on HBO. So where the fuck is it?
Maybe is it not,
Let me see
maybe
the three
Hulu?
three star one.
I doubt it. I really doubt it.
So
Uh,
after he fell into a deep depression, Gohan would generally
okay,
try his best to
equip the
take
four
care of
equip the
him.
4-star one on
But with that happening,
Razor.
and with this
Yeah.
happening,
Depression with an I.
would then also
Oh
confront
my
Quicksilver
god.
for his role in
My
creating the House of M Reality because it
not
affected
be dull
Spider-Man
right
kind of
now.
harshly too. He believed that he
Let's
actually
see.
had the perfect life, but because of him, it's gone now. And
Yeah.
so for basically
Oh my
making him
god.
feel that
Why did I go
happiness only
back?
to have it taken away,
Okay,
Spider-Man was very
Sans.
pissed.
EM. Whatever, just
So
equip
after
it on
that
him for now.
happened, Quicksilver would then jump off a roof and attempt to commit suicide.
I have that on Barbara.
And
Okay, now.
But before he would die,
Oh, you're gonna
he
have to
would be
replace
either
that
he would
then.
definitely be saved by Gohan, who at this
You'll
point
have to
would
replace
generally just
one of
keep him
Barbara's
from hurting
pieces then.
himself. And the
Because
entire
you need a
time,
set
Quicksilver would
bonus.
just ask why he would waste his time on someone
And
like
then
me, and he
that one.
generally just would say that because he's his uncle, and he would basically do his best to
Four-piece
protect his
martial artist
entire
will get you
family.
through that.
So
And
what
then
about the
just find a.
flower?
Doesn't matter. Keep the same flower you have on him.
Okay.
Anyway,
And then
Quicksilver
whatever,
would
and
still
then replace
result in getting
Barbara's
some
copy
damage,
with
and
another
so he
HP
had to
piece.
be
Doesn't matter
healed.
what type.
And this is when his ex-wife Crystal would then help him by teleporting him to an inhuman healer.
That
Gohan would
one
then
just be
offer to
back
go with
then?
him just so he can keep an eye and make
No.
sure that Quicksilver didn't do anything stupid. Believing that that Quicksilver becomes suicidal only upon the loss of his
Just any
powers,
HP
the
piece will do.
Inhumans took Quicksilver in on their refuge to the moon. And deciding that Quicksilver couldn't stand life as a human, Pietro had asked Black Bolt for permission to undergo Terrigenesis to restore his mutant abilities, but was denied since he was not an Inhuman. During this time, Gohan would also be somewhat researching the concept of
Just
Terrigen
HP
Mist
percentage.
on a
It's better
mutant
off that
body,
way.
due to the fact that he would actually want to
That
see if it
one?
would be possible to try and
No.
restore a mutant's
Oh yeah.
powers.
Diona's
During this
one you can
time,
use.
Gohan would also be making
That one's pretty
calls
good.
to people like Mr. Fantastic and some of the smartest people that he knew. Even Beast, who thankfully was one of the few mutants who had his powers. However, Beast would tell him that it's almost practically impossible to reverse something like this.
Equip it.
This
Equip
is
any HP
complete
piece.
this is a complete reality molecular makeup. The X gene practically doesn't even exist anymore. And any version of it does
Alright,
can't bring
now,
back the
every
powers
time
that
you
were
use your
taken by these
skill, you'll
people.
be doing a little more damage.
Does that mean I have to fix hers? Yeah.
Rosaria's? Probably.
No.
Officials? Oh. So for the cup, you need to find any piece with electro damage.
Anyway, as Quicksilver would be reunited with his daughter Luna, who he would probably not seen for who he hadn't seen for several years, she would introduce him to a communicator, from what he had learned about which would basically teach him about the process of pterogenesis. After this would happen, Gohan would fail to stop him from violently breaking into the sacred Terrigen cavern,
Like
verbally and unknowingly desecrating the holiest, most sacred place imaginable for Inhumans, and exposing himself directly to the well of the Terrigen Mist. And then when that happened, he would then develop the ability to time travel, which would in turn gravely deteriorate his health.
Maybe the second one? Yeah, definitely the second one.
Time travel!
So after he pretty much time travels, he actually disappeared after that moment, and Gohan almost believes that he had lost another family member, which he literally was on the ground crying, and honestly, Crystal had moved to console him. After this had happened, he had then said that there had to be some way to find out where he is. There had to be. But unfortunately, they didn't know at all what had happened, and Crystal was almost just as sad as Gohan was. And Gohan had just realized that at this point of his life, he was losing everyone that he cared about. After this would happen, he would then go to visit his mother. Being in a very deep and dark place, the X-Men would just simply wonder where Gohan had gone, as it seemed that no one could locate him. Even like Emma Frost after she tried to use Cerebro. After not being able to find him, the X-Men basically tried tracking him down. But in truth, he was actually on another universe, in another dimension, where he pretty much was consulting with his mother and basically seeing if it would be a good idea to stay with her. His mother, though, would pretty much try to convince her son to stay in the original world that he was born in. Due to this fact is that, well, his father would never run away from these problems. And she then tells him about the many hardships that his father had to go through when he was just a boy. Unfortunately, he only wishes that he could save, and he had lost many people in his old age, including people that were on the Brotherhood of Evil that he had called
I'd say for
friends.
official, go with 2-piece Exile, 2-piece Berserker.
Okay.
Gohan is then somewhat inspired by his father's future. He's inspired by his father's will and his mother's, and then tries to go back to once again stay a part of the real world. When he goes back though, he does get a bit of a talking to by the X-Men, but they generally just tell him that they're happy he's alive. And with everything that's going wrong, they're generally just surprised that, well, he's okay. Anyway, as time passed, eventually Gohan would just try to grow more, and just simply help out any mutants that existed out there, and bring the X-Men that which generally was a place where all mutants could go, at least the small amount of mutants that still existed.
But
managing to keep most of them alive and trying to keep them out of the views of the public, because the public was constantly trying to, well, some people believe that, half these mutants just being, well, pretty much taken down would just generally be, well, enough. A lot of the people believe that half of these mutants should just be, it was good that they were all, like, depowered and stuff, and, they don't have to worry about them. And some mutants were actually being somewhat hunted down, but thankfully due to the X-Men and also Gohan, who at this point would be trying his best to help out, unfortunately, during Gohan's efforts to save several mutants, he is then stopped due to Iron Man's Civil War. When Iron Man's Civil War pretty much takes place, it's basically a call to While granted what happened with the mutants was one thing, the ultimate PR start for Iron Man to get involved is of course after Nitro destroys half a city, which leads to the death of hundreds of kids, women, men, and children.
You said kids twice.
Yes. Anyway, there are a lot of dead kids. Anyway, so with that happening, a lot of superheroes had got involved, and the government was already talking about a way to get all the superheroes to be registered, and Tony Stark had had enough, and decided to finally throw his hands in it. And this is what led to the Registration Act, where superheroes had to be registered in order to do their jobs. The thing is, though, there were actually some payoffs to it. If you were a superhero under Tony Stark, you would get paid. You would have like protection from the government and as a call. But you know, at the same time, your identity would be revealed to the public, which definitely would put you and everyone that you know, in danger. This would of course lead to several superheroes like Captain America rising up against this and choosing to keep his freedom. Because the ability to choose, as he says, is what generally makes America America. With all this in mind, Tony Stark was very unwilling, and pretty much would go through almost any length it seemed to pretty much, you know, keep this value. Of course, he would want Gohan to join this because he knew that Gohan had the ability to become one of the most powerful people on the planet, just like his father was. Not to mention the thing that also made him scary was Mr. Fantastic's prediction of how one day Gohan would become strong enough to one day be able to destroy an entire solar system. At least. Besides that fact, Gohan would then pretty much be brought into an Avengers Initiative, which is basically a school that, you know, most younger teenagers had to go through, which was basically a bit of training and stuff that you had to go through. It's basically like when you have to join a job and they make you do the online course and stuff like that, except they actually had it where you would go through mental and physical training, you know, be more educated with how the world works, and, you know, that type of thing. And afterwards, you would be given a license, an outfit, and also a name so you can do your job. But hey, you get a paycheck. But I feel like the paychecks probably don't come in every week, which is probably another reason why it was bullshit.
Bet it's bi-weekly.
Right. Anyway, in regards to this, Gohan would actually join the Avengers Initiative due to the fact that he might actually see that as a good thing at first. That's the fact that Gohan is still young and is still learning about things. Not to mention, with all the stuff that Gohan has gone through, he would actually maybe see the Avengers Initiative as a somewhat right thing. Especially, but at the same time, he also wouldn't get involved with trying to fight other heroes. Meaning that if he actually was called onto it, he would definitely refuse to fight someone like Captain America or any of his previous friends if it came to it. Another thing that this nearly did was put him at odds with the mutants, otherwise known as the X-Men. The X-Men generally thought that it was a horrible idea for him to get involved with someone like Tony Stark, because the X-Men actually cared about Gohan, not wanting him to get involved with him.
Man.
As the X-Men pretty much tell him, not to mention the fact that Wolverine had pretty much threatened Iron Man and told him that regardless of whatever's happening here between, you know, the heroes and stuff, the mutants ain't a part of it. And that was literally the last thing he told Tony with all that stuff. So generally, the X-Men and the mutants are generally somewhat also at odds with, like, you know, generally at odds with Tony Stark's Civil War.
Yeah, I got all the info that I needed.